I want to bring in my man, Dillon Gabriel. What's happening, brother?
How's it going?
It's going very, very well. It's really nice to see you and have an opportunity to talk with you today. You have been doing some great things in your life, and you know what, 18, 19, 20, what are you,
20
21?
years old. 20 years old.
You're 20 right now?
Yes, sir.
That's a beautiful thing, isn't it? So
It
are you
is.
soaking it all in? Are you soaking it all in? And what's going on? How is all this kind of playing out for you here at UCF with all these honors?
It's been a great time. I met some amazing people, in my 2 years here, and I'm just excited, for the future of it. And this is, my new home. So
Your new home. So when all this came about, you had to step up to the plate. You were with a teammate who also was from Hawaii. What was that like for you? What was going through your head when you knew all this was going on and then you were going to have this team on your shoulders?
I knew it was a big responsibility, but it was also something I was, really ready for and excited for the opportunity. Having, Mackenzie being here, another Hawaiian brother, it just felt really good, looking to someone and knowing, we could just kind of hit it off and always know I got someone that got my back. So that felt really good. And then of course, meeting and embracing this new culture in Florida was also, a great time. And I've been able to learn a lot about, just Florida in general. So
Yeah, I can imagine that even though you were coming from a hot spot to another hot location, there still was some kind of overlap and or kind of learning curve that you had to have. What's different about Florida? I know already that in Orlando we're kind of landlocked. So what's different about that and where you came from in Hawaii?
I would say the biggest thing is, obviously the people, but the food, is something just it's been very new to me. But like I said, I love trying new things and the food, but also um, just the big city. You can keep driving and never stop. That's something that I never grew up knowing, but it's
Okay,
really
that
really
makes a
cool
lot of
to
sense.
be a part of. So
So yeah, because if you keep driving there, you pretty much liable to be hanging out with some water and some fish.
yes, sir.
All right, all right, all right. So now that you are here and you're in this position on the team, what's it like to try to be a 20-year-old person and having to kind of be the team leader? Because I mean, I also often hear that the quarterback is the team leader. So what kind of responsibilities did you have to immediately take on? Because you probably were doing some leading already when you were in high school, but here it's a different story when you are in a college situation.
The biggest challenge for me was, obviously being a freshman and 18 years old at the time. And how do I get guys who are, 21, 22, 23 to believe in some kid that's 18 years old? And the biggest thing for me was, my playing ability, first showing them that, I can play at this level and hang with, the big dogs. So that was the first challenge for me. And then secondly, finding your voice. I think it's super hard to find your voice when you haven't been able to perform at a high level on the field.
Right.
And I think once I was able to do that, it was easier to find my voice. And even now, um, that is a big component of being a leader is being vocal and saying the right things when they should be said. And that's something I think, going into my third year, I've learned a lot about myself.
Excellent, excellent. So, a question. This is more of a selfish question because I haven't played football like what you're doing. You snap the ball, and you got all these teams from the other side coming at you.
Mhm.
What's that look like? What I mean, what are you seeing? I mean, from that position when you're stepping back to throw or to kind of toss it to someone, what are you actually seeing? Can you talk about that?
It consists of a lot of things. First off, looking at the front, then looking at the second level defenders and kind of just peeking what you think they're doing pre-snap, but also knowing post-snap it could be a whole different picture. So there's a lot of things that come with that, but also just the amount of reps I was able to get from growing up to now. I've been able play a lot of football, and it's been a blessing, but also I've learned so much. So that I think in turn just has helped me come this far.
All right, because I can imagine, like, each time it's a different scenario. Like you said, like you snap the ball and you're like, okay, who's coming left? Who's coming right? And then, okay, I got to get this ball off. Now, how tall are you?
I like to say I'm 6 feet, but the measuring stick isn't always in my favor.
Okay. Does that matter when you're looking over the line and trying to toss the ball to someone? Does that matter your height?
It does. I definitely feel like it'd help if I was 6'5". Um, Unfortunately, I'm not, but at the same time, I just got to find different ways to, find the receivers over the middle, or, just find different angles for me to throw the ball. But for the most part, I've been able to get that done, and it definitely is a challenge. But being the height I've been, I've been able to get used to it. So.
Well, you showed up. That's all that really counts, is that no matter how tall you were, you showed up and you showed out. And so that helps kind of change the scenario for anybody, right? Moving forward. Let's kind of shift gears here and let's go to the fact that we got you here not just because you are a quarterback and that you're holding up the front here at UCF, but it's Pacific Islander Heritage Month, and you come from a very phenomenal island in the Pacific Island area. And so what was life like growing up? You talked a little bit about what was the changes here coming at UCF, but what's it like for you growing up on the island, and when did you kind of get into your athletic field?
Looking back on it now, life was really basic.
Okay.
Wake up, go to school, go to practice, come back home, eat dinner, and do the same thing. It was very structured, very, routine like. I think that started in my household, but also just the culture I lived in.
Okay.
But also, on the football side of things, I've been playing ever since I was young, and uh, it's been annual every single year, and it's something that um, I'm very used to, and
Was that the only
so
sport that you played?
I played baseball, I played basketball, but I quickly knew after, my middle school, I guess trying all the sports, that football was a sport for me. So,
Okay, okay. And what did you start off with? Did you start off as a quarterback?
I started off as a running back for a couple seasons, and then one of our quarterbacks just got injured or so, and I ended up stepping in, and then it,
So you knew that role already. You knew the
yeah,
stepping in role
the rest was
from a very young age.
yes.
Nice, nice, nice. And so, having a feel for the ball and being able to toss it, I've always wondered what is in the mindset of a person when you think about your arm strength and you think about tossing a ball maybe 10 yards versus 50 yards. Um, what goes into your thinking to make sure that you are giving enough pressure to the ball, or I don't know if it's pressure, I don't know what you would call it, to be able to toss the ball the distance that you needed to go.
I would say you try to throw it the same. The angles change, and in which a shorter throw to a farther throw, but you try to keep that same motion and not baby it. You try to still drill a throw, even though it's a little closer. Just put a little more touch on it. But for the most part, during the game, you're not even thinking. During practice, you think about throwing the ball, but once you get to the game time, it's really
It's
just
instinctual.
trusting your instincts. Yes.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So when you got the opportunity when you were younger, were there fear? What was going on for you? What made you know that you had what it took to be a quarterback?
Man, I don't know. I just think after playing so much ball, growing up in it, I quickly knew that this is something I wanted to do,
Yeah,
and something I wanted to pursue. And then I think in high school, my freshman year, when I started on varsity, I think that's when I knew this is something for me. So
yeah. So I'm quite sure that recruitment is a little bit different coming from Hawaii. Uh, you know, uh, People who are stateside get an opportunity, I guess, to see a lot of scouts.
Mhm.
Were you seeing were a lot of scouts coming your way, or how did that kind of work out on the Hawaii side of things?
So early on in my recruitment, freshman, sophomore, even a little bit of junior year, I wasn't really getting too many looks. Ended up getting offers from, Hawaii and then the Naval Academy and all the other academies.
Okay,
But it didn't really start to heat up until senior year. And
okay,
from what I know, back in the day, I know a lot of scouts didn't really come out to Hawaii, but ever since, Marcus Mariota, Tua, and McKenzie, a lot of guys and a lot of colleges are starting to get out there and
look at
starting to
you.
recruit in Hawaii. So
Yeah. And so when you made your decision to come to UCF, what were some of the things that made you say, that's where I'm going?
the biggest thing for me was, weather, even though, just the similar weather for me made it feel like home.
Hmm.
Knowing someone from Hawaii made it a lot easier to come here.
Okay.
And then likewise, just what this university brings, the combination of school, but also a competitive program that, is on the rise. And it was something I always was attracted to for some odd reason. And, I never believed the cliche of you'll know what school you want to go to until, for some reason, I just knew I wanted to come to
You
UCF.
knew exactly when. So
Mhm.
it was just about a matter of when the signing date was.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So, so thinking about travel, like, so you're here on the team and you're trying to do your schoolwork and you're trying to maintain that work and you're traveling. You got games that are away and things along those lines. What's that like? What's that like for a student? Can you talk a little bit about, as a student, how life has changed as opposed to, like, I can go to class every day, go home, hang out in my dorm, but now you are getting up, you're doing practice, you're doing this, but then you're traveling. So what's that travel like for a student athlete?
It's different. It's definitely difficult. In high school, you're able to, take a bus and come back, the next day, rather than, college football, you're leaving the night before, getting there, and then you leave, right after that game. So it's difficult, but also it's something that, you find joy in. You get to spend time with a lot of your teammates. And
Right.
then, on the academic side of things, it's a little hard handling it all, but you try to front load and get everything done, kind of that Monday to Wednesday time frame. And
Okay.
then
Yeah, yeah.
so, Thursday, Friday, you can kind of lock in on your playbook and then get it going. So
Okay, all right, that makes sense. So when you travel, what are the accommodations like? Do you all have your own special jet, or you guys going on one of these airlines and hanging
so
out in
so
the airport?
we'll charter Legion Airlines, and then everyone will just hop on that plane and we'll go there. Um, but it's definitely a fun time with the boys. So
That's got to be pretty cool. So you don't have to necessarily go through all the rigmarole of going through security and all that. Not security, but I'm quite sure you still go through security, but you
Mhm.
don't have to necessarily worry about. I would assume, being in the in I don't know what they would call it, but in the domestic side of things, where people are kind of hanging out by the gate and it's your own special plane, so you don't have to worry about all that other craziness going on.
Exactly.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about food. And so you talked a little bit about getting used to the food here in Orlando. I'm assuming that you're talking the non-traditional cuisine
Mhm.
when it comes to food. But tell me a little bit about what it is you're missing from Hawaii. What food choices would you really be making if you were in Hawaii as opposed to here in Orlando?
First, I miss rice. I miss Portuguese sausage, eggs and rice for breakfast.
Would you call it Portuguese sausage?
Portuguese sausage. It's like I don't know what exactly it is, honestly, but it's the best breakfast I love and something I will eat every single time I'm back home,
So
or
that's
when my mom comes up to cook it for me.
so it's an island specialty. So they don't have a store around here that has Portuguese sausage.
If someone knows one, let me know. But for now, my mom will ship some up frozen, and
Oh,
uh,
nice,
yeah, so
nice.
that That's always a good care package. But I miss that for breakfast. I miss a little tasty chicken, kalbi, chicken katsu, meat. That's like I can't really explain. It's just some good food that I love for lunch.
Okay. Do you cook?
I don't. I was good at it, but that's definitely not one of my talents.
Is that one of your talents?
Um,
No.
and then dinner. I love good sushi. I love kalbi. Um, yeah, but just fresh fish, raw fish is amazing.
Raw fish is amazing. So,
Yeah.
thinking about that, as an athlete, um, sushi does well for you in terms of giving you the kind of sustenance that you need.
Sushi does well for me. I don't know about others, but for me, I love sushi and always never had a problem with it.
All right, that's pretty good. I'm not a big sushi fan. You just said the right word just now with raw. I mean, raw. And
Yeah.
in some regards, it's not necessarily raw, right? It's just lightly cooked.
It could be seared, it could be raw, or pan fry. I don't know. I just love just that seafood in general. I'm a big fan.
Yeah, I'm from the Northeast, and our seafood is a little bit different. And I'm more of a maybe a cod and lobster and shrimp kind of guy.
You
But
like crawfish?
crawfish,
Yeah,
it's not, it's, it
same.
wouldn't be my first choice.
I
But
was
those three I
yeah.
just named right there, I'll do scallops and I'll do shrimp. That's my go-to is shrimp. Um, but you all don't have that, or do you have those kind of seafood options, or is that something that's kind of shipped into Hawaii?
Not really. I think there's certain places, but it's definitely not, you know, I guess the biggest food choice in Hawaii. But even here in Florida, kind of that I guess that Louisiana, crawfish or that was something new to me where
That
they just pour the crawfish on the table and you're like, that was something new to me. But
was it comparable? Was it comparable to what you were getting in Hawaii?
it was a different taste, it was a different spice, but I'm all about different, just trying new things. That's something I love to do. So it was a fun time and you just get dirty, all your hands are dirty, but you just eating some crawfish and going to town. So
Wow.
yeah.
Yeah, well, I'll have to try it out. I don't know too many people who cook well.
Mhm.
So I think that's one of those things where I need to have somebody who's able to make it for me, as opposed to going to some restaurant and not knowing exactly what it is I'm supposed to have, right? So we'll see about that. Maybe one of these days you and I can go, and when the season's over, and have some crawfish somewhere. You can tell me where you found it. Maybe it's a dive. Is it a dive?
Yep.
It
Neat.
is not. It's not a good restaurant. It's one of those little hole in the walls.
Yeah. And then likewise, we did one just a couple of the boys just ended up doing one. So I don't know how they did it, but they did it. They just put in that big boiling water and then
They did it there. Okay, okay.
yeah.
Yeah,
So
there's nothing wrong with that. So there
yeah,
are some folks who know how to cook.
exactly.
Just that Dillon doesn't know how to cook
At all.
at all.
I cook a good egg, maybe.
Okay, okay.
You
But you
know,
got to cook a good breakfast since you like breakfast so much. You
yeah,
know.
I love breakfast. Yeah, I love breakfast. So I can cook, eggs and Portuguese sausage or just some breakfast sausage, and then
And so
maybe
Portuguese sausage, I can imagine, is it like something that you grill, or is it? I mean, is it put in the oven, toaster oven? How do
no,
you?
you just grill it. I like mine a little more burnt on the burnt side. Depends how the day is. And then ketchup is a big thing in Hawaii. So
Oh, okay.
that was some ketchup is pretty.
Yeah, I've been to Hawaii twice now, but what's the name of the place you grew up again?
Mililani,
Miller, say it again?
Mililani.
Mililani.
Yeah,
Okay. I don't think I've been there. That's not on the main island.
yeah. It's definitely not one of the I guess tourist attractions because it's right in the middle, and there's not
Okay.
much to do. But if
Yeah.
you were to put your finger right in the middle of the main island, Oahu, you'll find Mililani real quick. So
Oh, okay. Okay.
yeah.
All right. And so how often do you get back?
Twice a year, once in the summer, and then if I'm lucky in Christmas, I'll be able to go home.
Oh, okay. And
Yeah.
so your season starts pretty soon.
Yes, September 2nd.
Are you ready?
I'm excited. I can't after the summer, I'll definitely be ready. As of right now, I'm just, getting back into shape and getting the body right. So,
So that's interesting that you say that. So you're 20 years old.
mhm.
How much shape do you have to get back into at 20 years old?
I'd say a good 3 weeks. I feel pretty confident. In COVID year, that's kind of what we went through. Um,
Okay.
Coming back late and trying to get back into shape. But, as of now, we'll have a lot more time and we'll definitely get into a lot better shape for preparing for this upcoming season.
Nice, nice. And so when you think about the kind of workouts that you do, are you like constantly in the gym? Are you
Mhm.
I especially talk with like basketball players who like are always doing like reps and getting themselves in shape. How does a football player actually get into shape? I mean, are you just as a quarterback just throwing the ball all the time, or what is it that you have to do?
That's something hard, with being a quarterback. You kind of have to manage the amount, you throw. Even with, baseball players in the sense, just throwing the ball too much can put a lot of stress on your arm. Yet, in basketball, you can shoot all day and next day go back in the gym. So, when you do throw and when you do work out on the football field, you got to hit, as intense as you can just so you can get a good workout and then know that, maybe not the next day, but the following day you might be able to go throw or, so it's a little different in that sense. But when you do work out, you definitely hit a, high intensity and hit your
So when you're actually doing certain plays, and you don't have to tell me this because I don't want any of that secret getting out there, but
yeah,
do you have favorite plays that you like the best? You like, once you know that you are in it, that you're like, this
sure.
is my jam. This is the one I know that is always going to be 100% completion.
I think there's certain plays I do love, that I'm a fan of and just concepts that I gravitate towards, but most of all, there's certain routes that I love to throw, you
Mm.
know. That's the biggest thing for me. I love a with fade, down the sideline. I love an over route, and then I love, just a 10-yard out, being able to throw that to the field. That's some things that I love to throw. So
Yeah, yeah. So I can imagine at the beginning of a game, there's a lot of excitement. You're antsy, you're up, and things like that. When does it calm down for you? When do you like get your head in the game and you know that this is it, right?
I'd say it starts from that morning of the game. I like to just kind of kick back and relax because I know the game and the atmosphere is going to be wild. But for me, I just like to stay cool, calm, collective, and just relax and let it soak in the moment, but also be very present. Kind of
Okay.
just
So
uh,
I mean, so there's not like a lot of anxiety when the game first starts. You just run out there and you're just kind of pumped and ready to go.
there's definitely some energy I feel, but a lot of the time I like to just soak myself in the moment and be present. Not let the moment be too big, and just treat it like another game. So that's something I like to do. But also during the game, whenever there's a touchdown, I definitely get that energy up real quick. So
Do you remember like every moment of the game?
I can definitely put myself back, into the certain play or certain drive, kind of
Right.
play through it, when I get to the side.
I saw you do an interview once where the person asked you a question about a play, and you were like able to kind of right off the top of your head remember the play and what happened during that play. So how are all those things just like staying up in your head? I mean, I would think that over the length of a whole 4 quarters that you wouldn't necessarily always remember the exact moment that a reporter is going to ask you about.
I'd say just as a quarterback, going through a whole drive, you're just constantly thinking, and everything else, physically is all instinctual. And for me, that's something I do, in the game at all times. I go back to the sideline and I'll get back on the phone with my coach up in the booth and just kind of talk through the whole drive, ask him what he's seeing, kind of get on the same page.
Okay.
Because there may be some things that I miss, but um, as a quarterback, you'll forever be thinking, and I can revert back, to certain plays and kind of play through in my head what coverage, what front.
Which play do you have in your head right now that never leaves? That what like has been your favorite play to the moment? Which one has that been?
I'd say Stanford game, 2019, my freshman year.
Okay.
It was kind of like a double move to Gabe Davis against a DB who was highly ranked, and just a guy who's been killing it off the field and on the field. And
Right.
Gabe kind of just gave him a double move. I felt like I threw a good ball, and it's something that I forever remember and feel and put myself into. So
So do you actually remember it? Do you see it in your head, or do you go
yeah,
back and watch footage? Which
yeah,
one?
I can do both. It's just something that I can envision myself back behind center and doing it all over again. So
Wow, that's impressive. That's pretty neat. So, can you tell me, is there a question or what has been an annoying, not kind of putting a reporter on the spot? You don't have to do that, but what has been like an annoying question that you got from a reporter? You like your inside voice was like, really? And but your outer appearance kind of gave them the answer that you needed to give them.
man, I really don't know. I think I understand that reporters got a job to do, and I respect that. So when I do go on that podium, I try to answer to the best of my ability. But I think rhetorical questions are a bit, I love when people ask unique questions and are able to dive deeper into, a student athlete's head, and
Right.
kind of just, not only ask about the football side, but, I guess on just the student life side of it, of life. And that's something that I can respect a reporter for doing,
Yeah.
kind of just coming up with unique questions and knowing that they thought about these questions before coming to the interviews.
Yeah. Yeah. So when you so how did football get so popular in Hawaii?
I'd say any sport is pretty popular in Hawaii just because of the fact that that's all we really got is school, beach, and a sport that you play. And football became big for a lot of the boys, being a big Polynesian culture in Hawaii. A lot of those poly boys, can play the game of football, and they do show it. So I think that poly culture in Hawaii, but also just everyone, you know, high school football in Hawaii is the sport, and
Or because
definitely
you
the
don't
main
have
event.
I think it's because you don't have a professional team there.
I think that, and then likewise, there's just a lot of pride behind a city in Hawaii, and being able to play against another city that has a lot of pride. There's definitely just that competitive nature that comes out,
Right.
and something we want to represent our city, to the best of our ability. So it's definitely the main event in Hawaii.
So like here in the States, like most people are drawn to teams that they live near, right? With my exception, I'm a Dallas Cowboy fan and I grew up in Connecticut. So people are always asking me, how do you grow up in Connecticut and become a Dallas Cowboy fan? And I'm like, well, it's tradition. Things that happened in my family made that happen. And so like somebody growing up in New York was picked between the Jets and the Giants.
Mhm.
Depending on where you live in the state, you might go for New England Patriots or something like that. But that's typically been how people have done that. In Hawaii, how did people kind of pick teams? Do you have an idea what that looked like?
It's all over the place, and I think in my eyes, I feel like a lot of Hawaii people are bandwagons, but but I have a uncle who's a Tampa Bay fan. I have my neighbor who's a Patriots fan. My family on my dad's side's a Rams fan. You know,
Okay,
my mom's side's Seahawks fan. So it's all over the place, and I think that's something kind of cool though as well because we'll be at home watching a game, and everyone will be having their kind of team and their shirt that they have on Sunday morning. So
right. And I can imagine that, like you said, Sunday morning, that must be a pain because it's a 6-hour difference from East Coast
yeah.
to where you all are. So it can really, depending on the start time of the game, if a 1 o'clock game is going on the East Coast,
Yep.
um, that's pretty early for y'all.
It's a blessing and a curse. The afternoon games, you got to wake up early. Afternoon in the East Coast, in Hawaii is 6 a.m. And then I guess it's a blessing for when it's a night game on the East Coast at 10 p.m.
Yeah,
It's a, you know, early afternoon game for Hawaii people. So it's a blessing and a curse, but it's definitely a challenge.
yeah, I can imagine that it would be. I would, especially if you like had a late night, right? You're doing stuff because or whatever. Then in order to see a game, you would have to be up quite early in order to make that happen.
Exactly.
Uh, so memorable experiences hanging out with family and watching the game. What are some of the things that you remember the most, or what do you love about those experiences hanging out with your family?
I just love how close, we are. And, I was blessed, having my mom and my dad and my two brothers being super supportive. And then likewise, just, growing up in a loving, you know, culture in Hawaii. It's been something I'm super grateful for and will hold with me for the rest of my life. Um,
Yeah,
I will forever remember those moments, not just with my family, but my extended family and friends, just coming over, hanging out in the backyard or,
right.
setting up a tent in the front of our garage and setting up a projector and watching games. So that's something that I'll forever remember and just super grateful for.
Yeah. So where do you fall in the lineup? You said you have two brothers. Is there?
So yeah, I have an older brother named Garrison. He's actually here. He goes to Seminole State
Oh,
and he's 24. And then my younger brother, who's 14, Roman, he's back home with the family. So
I'm a middle child as well, but I have two sisters. I have an older sister and a younger sister.
I
So,
love
being a middle child is pretty interesting, isn't it?
it. It's definitely people, at least my brothers won't let me say it's a little different because they don't know, but we go back and forth about it all the time.
Well, I find that I think the middle child is the best child. And I'm not talking about your brothers at all.
Yep.
What I'm saying is, I think
I'd
that
like to say so too.
yeah, I think that there's something to be said about the middle child, especially the peacekeeper of the family and
Mm,
everything else that comes from it. But I like to think that I am, even though I'm the youngest of my older sister, I feel like I'm more mature and I take the lead more so than she does. So she doesn't like me when I say that, but I think it's true.
for sure.
So, what other things are going on for you this season as you get ready, as you get prepared?
Man, nothing much. Just, 4 classes in the summer, trying to get, that degree, something I've, been super passionate about and really want to get done.
What degree?
Human communications.
Oh, okay, okay.
So I tried to put a load on this summer, to make it a point to get that degree and then just workouts, Monday through Fridays.
So, do you when you go to classes, do you try to stay low key, or do people know who you are the minute you walk into the class?
I try to, I just try to be myself. I do meet, a lot of great people, and that's what I love about it too. Just this platform I'm able to be on. I've been able to meet so many, great people just in the UCF area, in classes, and that's something I'm really big on is relationships. You're one relationship away from, meeting a really great person that
Have
maybe
you met that great person yet?
I've met multiple great people that,
Woo! You
you
know what
know,
I'm talking about, though. I'm not talking about multiple great people. Have you met that significant person in your life yet?
I have. I've met, my best friends here in Towers, the dorm. I've met, people that just are great to be surrounded by and, are just as passionate about football as I am.
Yeah, yeah.
It's great having that support,
That's
not
good.
only from teammates, but, also, friends outside of, football. It's been something that I'm also grateful for because, they're able to, see me in a different environment. And I
So do you think that the students here at UCF treat you well and not necessarily, I would think that once somebody gets to be at the stature that you are, that it could be problematic if somebody kind of comes in and tries to use your friendship or use you in that regard. Or do you find that the students kind of allow you to be Dillon and really enjoy growing up in this experience as an athlete and as a student?
there's definitely, a great amount of people that are just, great and are able to just let me, be me, and likewise, I am, the same as everyone else. And that's something that, I continue to stress to everyone, I'm just the same old guy. It's
Yeah,
just
yeah,
slaps the helmet on. So uh but also, what I love is everyone's so, loving and caring and passionate about this sport. And
right.
I'm glad they are because, this is a great sport that connects a lot of different people, and it's something that, I'm just as passionate about as they are. So I'm glad they're able to, show out on the games and support the football team as best they do.
So what was your thought when UCF was using that we are the national champions? What was your thought about that, and how did you handle maybe the pressure or not from that being the thing that was going on?
I'm in big support of it. They, went undefeated 13-0 2017 year, and you know, with the whole college football playoff thing, that's a whole nother thing. But you know, um, the rules are if you do go undefeated, you should be the national champions.
Yeah.
At least it's harder for a team that isn't, I guess, Power Five or whatever they call it. But uh, they
So
went there.
was that a hard thing to have to live up to coming in as a quarterback, knowing that that was one of the monikers?
No, it's something you want to be able to be you know just about that. It's something I wanted to be a part of, and it's something I knew I was getting myself into. So
Yeah.
big expectations are what make people great, and I love expectations. So
Yeah. So you had a quite sure a list of colleges that you were interested in looking at. You said that you knew immediately that UCF was one for you, but
mhm.
you don't have to name names or anything like that. But I'm wondering, was there a significant short list that you had to kind of think about when before you made that final decision?
For sure, and I love listening off the names because it shows that I wasn't one to love a logo. I was one to love the school and what it
Nice.
brings. And I was able to have a chance to go to Georgia or University of Central California or Southern California. And that was something that for me it didn't pull me in any which way because of their logo. They're two prestigious schools when it comes to football, and obviously academics, but you know there's been so much history created there. I didn't want to chase history. I wanted to create it, and I felt like UCF gave me that just opportunity to be able to
You
create
need
it.
to hashtag that. I like that. That was pretty good. You said I didn't want to chase history. I wanted to
Yeah.
create it.
I think and that's what a lot of schools are doing because there is so much history there. There's so much guys who've been there, but UCF is so up and coming, and
Uh-huh.
definitely has some history, but not as much as these
Right,
other
right,
schools.
right.
Something I want to be a part of. So
Right. So don't steal that. Well, actually, you can use that hashtag. We need that hashtag out there. Dillon Gabriel. There you go.
use
That's
it.
what you do, right? I don't want to chase history. I want to create it.
Sure.
All right, I like that. That's a good hashtag.
Yes, sir.
I'm gonna get UCF football athletics to kind of market that. Let's see if we can do that. Let's see what we can do. I have to talk with
They
Terry
should.
about that.
They should.
Make that happen. So, any other thing going on for you outside of sport in college? I mean, what are some of the things you like to do? And if there was one meal that you could eat that you can't eat or you don't eat when you're in training, what would that be? I mean, I know there's probably the crawfish and all that other stuff, but is there like a dessert or something like that that would be like your favorite go-to that you can't have because you're kind of staying in condition?
There's two things I love that you know my body is definitely not forgiving for, and the biggest one is the Zinger Mountain Melt from Ale House. that's a Florida food that I began to love, and definitely my guilty pleasure. And then um, a shake, a peanut butter shake, something I love. Like I love a peanut butter shake.
But is peanut butter good for you?
It is, but the shake, the ice cream involved, that's just something that my body is not forgiving about. I'll
Oh,
definitely see that on the scale the next Monday. So for me, that that steak and shake, peanut butter shake is the go-to.
well, I can understand that. I think for me, what I say though, Dylan, is this: I was like, it's just milk.
Frozen milk, right?
It's just this frozen milk. I just kind of play it off that way, but I won't get you in trouble there. Um, so what other things do you kind of indulge in, outside of class and outside of sport? What are some of the things that you kind of just like to do? Are you a gamer?
I do game a little bit. I love Madden. I I am a sucker for Madden. I love playing Madden. I'd say just with our busy schedules, I love to just kick back, relax, and I'd love a good movie, you know,
Okay.
chilling on the couch, watching a movie. And
Yeah, yeah.
something I've began to love is going on walks and walking around either the Arboretum or the Econ,
Hmm.
close to,
Okay.
campus. That's
Okay.
something that I began to love and just get away for a little bit and, you
Yeah.
know,
So what kind of movies do you like?
kind of like thrillers, like a little romantic movie here and there, those are always some good ones. And then, kind of those mystery kind of movies. Those
Yeah, yeah. I can imagine that when you are thinking about, I guess, the gaming piece,
Mhm.
um, does does that kind of help with your motor skills? What does that do for like an athlete, like when you play like a Madden and doing things along those lines?
You'd like to think so, and I say it does, but with Madden and just how video games work, it's a lot of like you got to really be good with the sticks, the controller.
Hmm.
That's something you got to really be good at because I know people who aren't even good at or don't even play football and are amazing at Madden. So it I don't know if it goes hand in hand, but I've definitely had my fair share with guys who don't even play football and they've 21 skunked me. So
All right. Well, yeah. Well, I'm not a gamer. My kids do. I don't get it. I never ever understood it. Like when I grew up, this is how old I am. When I grew up, and you may have had this experience, but
mhm.
uh, there used to be pinball machines.
Yes,
That was my gaming.
that was the go-to.
I wasn't a go-to. I hated it. I didn't like it either then. But it is. It's about control, right? It's about being able to kind of make sure the flippers are doing what they need to do in order to keep the ball in motion. Um, I guess that coordination was never my fun spot. Wasn't the thing that made me want to go and just go into gaming or anything along those
Okay.
lines. But uh, so I don't even know. I mean, does a kid your age even know what a pinball machine is?
I the only reason I'd say I do is because, growing up in Hawaii, I didn't have a phone for a while. I think that's more of my family thing, but um we used to, play a little ping pong and then also I forget what they call it, but the soccer one,
Oh, foosball.
foosball. We
Yeah,
played
yeah,
foosball a little
yeah.
bit. So those are the two that, I kind of grew up in too. So
Oh, okay, okay. Yeah, foosball is not bad. Because that's also about control, right? And then I would always play against someone who would not use the controls right. They would just kind of spin them.
yeah,
And it's like, you need to control the ball. You can't just
yeah.
spin the ball, spin whatever the men that are on the stick or whatever you have it. But so that's pretty interesting. So you seem like a really laid back, like you said, normal kid.
Mhm.
You just got this role that you play, and you've kind of taken it in stride.
Mhm. It's a platform I look at it as and something I'm really passionate about. But also I try to tell people that when I take off the helmet, I'm a cool guy. I'm very laid back. I like to I'm all about family. Love to have a good time, at the house. Um,
Yeah.
kind of a homebody. Love to explore new things, but anytime I need just a day at home, I'm not scared to do so. So
Well, that's pretty neat because you said that, you started thinking about going out and doing nature walks and stuff like that. So that's got to be pretty cool, because you were surrounded by nature,
mhm,
and you probably like took it, a lot of times you're surrounded by things and you kind of take it for granted.
and that's something too. Coming to Florida, it was definitely different because back home, I could go in the forest behind my house and not worry about snakes and bears or all these wild animals. But when I came here, I was hearing about alligators, bears, you know, uh, otters, all this stuff. I know some of them aren't, but for me, when I see them, I'm like, what is that?
What
So
is that?
that's something new to me. But it's been a funny experience.
Yeah, yeah. I think about that too. In my neighborhood, like we have this ring thing on our house,
Huh.
and we haven't had it in our neighborhood, but I hear about other areas where they say, a bear was walking in our neighborhood, and I'm like, a bear was walking in your
Really?
neighborhood, and so I can't imagine what it would be like. I think I would freak out if I were to go outside of my house at night and I just kind of came across a bear.
Mhm.
I don't know, but I've heard instances where people are out walking and jogging or whatever have you, and they come across a bear.
Mhm.
Um, I don't know what I would do. I have no
Either.
clue. I think I would freak out. And how they say people like lay down and act like you're dead or whatever have you. I don't even know if that would even register. I think I would just freak out and run and probably get attacked. And
Me too. I don't know at all what I would do.
so that's something that I would need to put into a playbook. Need to think more about that. So you said you like movies. What was the last movie you saw?
The last movie I watched, hmm, it was back home. I watched what was it? The What's it called? The Outpost.
I'm not a moviegoer.
It was a military movie. I
Okay.
watched that back home when I was back home.
Oh, okay. I had
And
a friend who's on Facebook who just watched Mortal Kombat.
I heard
Um,
that's a good one. I did
she
hear that's a
hated
good
it. She thought it was the worst acted movie ever. In terms of the acting, I don't know. Um,
one.
the action was good, but the actual acting in it was really bad. So I choose not to go to movies actually because I critique them too much.
Gotcha.
And so I'm always like, that's not the way it should have ended, or this or that. And so I'm like, I'm not going to put money into it.
So,
So I appreciate you, Dillon, for coming and being a part of today's experience. Is there anything that you want to talk about? Anything else on your platform that's important for UCF students to know? When's the first game? What's the first home game? Any of those things that we need to know about the football season this year?
no, I just want to thank you so much for having me. I'm in love with UCF and love this area, and I think I'm been able to meet so many great people, and I'm thankful for that.
That's
But
that.
also, first game September 2nd against Boise State. I already know there's going to be a packed crowd, and I'm excited for it. So,
Nice.
yeah.
So actually during the game, right, when everybody's out tailgating and all those other things, you're sitting where? Where are you? Are you like waiting in your dorm room for a while before you go to the state, or are you guys there early in the morning? In your, I don't know what you call it, what your, I guess, your locker room or whatever have you. What is your pattern like on game days? Because people outside of it are
Mhm.
actually going crazy,
I know.
right? And then you have to be there. What does that look like?
So the night before, we'll actually stay in a hotel
Oh,
just to
okay.
get away from everything and make sure everyone's on schedule, looking at their call sheet and all that kind of things. And we'll just be chilling in the hotel if it's a night game. If it's a early 12 o'clock kick, then we'll get up early, kind of do our stretching and all that, and then get it all going. So
and then you come in and they bring you right to your area where you exit the bus and kind of go
Yep.
into the back. That's pretty neat. That's pretty neat.
Yeah.
I've always I remember going to a couple of professional football games and watching, like, it's a little bit different because you see the athletes kind of driving their car in and going in, and people will be like waiting in the areas where they would kind of come in. Do, are there people who come and kind of wait for you all when the buses come in?
Yeah, we'll have something called night walk. That's something that's, big here, and we'll walk down kind of this area that we'll walk straight down, kind of by the track and field area.
I never knew that. I never knew that.
Yeah.
So every game, you guys, when you come in, there are people out there cheering you on as you go in.
Other than obviously COVID was a whole different year, but this upcoming year, I think they'll start again. They'll have the band, the cheerleaders, all
I heard about Night Walk in terms of the band, but I didn't know that you all, as a football team, were associated with that. Okay.
Yeah. So we'll walk down there, and then from there we'll head in the locker room and get it
Okay.
going. So.
All right, that's cool. I so this is my last question to you. I'm gonna let you go. I know you got to go, and I need to get off this as well. But so are you a headphone kind of guy, or do you just kind of like chill and just like in your own space, or do you like listen to like some type of a musical choice or whatever to go into your zone? What do
Yeah,
you?
I'll slap the headphones on, kind of the noise canceling thing, and
Are you a Boise kind of guy? What kind of headphones? You got the
yeah,
or do you
I'll
got?
do Bose. I got some Bose headphones that my mom got for me.
That's the
So
athlete look, right? So the athlete look is to have the big headphones, and so you look like you've got you're in the zone, so to speak.
some guys like the AirPods, the noise canceling Beats, or
Uh-huh.
everyone's kind of got their own thing, but
Yeah.
I'll use the Bose. Kind of just go through my warm up there, but I'll be listening to some relaxing music and just soaking the moment in. So
All right. All right. Well, thank you, man. Thank you
thank
so
you.
much for coming and being a part of this experience. It's good to talk with you. Because one of the things is, like, I work on this campus, but a lot of times I don't ever have a good opportunity to talk with athletes because you guys are always so busy and always, doing the right thing. So I appreciate you taking some time out and kind of hanging out with us, especially to talk about, Pacific Islander Heritage Month and just give me your perspective from there. But now you got me craving some crawfish. I think I gotta go and figure out where I can find some crawfish, and I'm gonna hold you responsible for whether I like it or not. If I don't like it, I'm coming for you, Jimmy. I'm gonna let you know.
For sure. Thank you so much, though.
All right, thank you. I appreciate you, man. So good luck this season.
Thank you.
Go into whatever you have to do to get into that Dillon readiness mode. And we're excited to see some great things come out of the season for you.
Thank you so much.
Good luck to you and the team.
Thank you.
All right, thanks a lot.
Have a great
On Friday, you all, just want you to know that we have Dr. PJ Adams coming to be a part of our conversation. He's going to also be talking about Asian American Pacific Islander Heritage Month, and we're looking forward to that conversation as well. So have a great day, and we'll see you next time.